this is Miss Bazzle. I'm back again with yet another video. So I wanted to go over your summative prompt, which was not the easiest, and I will admit that. So I want you to see my thinking process and how you should tackle any short answer response prompt or essay prompt. So the question is, how does internal and external pressure shape an individual? So obviously the question is asking for not one thing but two. So it's asking for internal and external pressure. How does it shape an individual? So internal, that's like man versus self. Something that's inside the head. Something maybe a mental struggle or decision. It's just something that you are dealing with or a person is dealing with inside. And then you have external, and that may be man versus society, something that's going on outside of the brain, and you have to deal with it. Man versus man, maybe you have something going on with someone else, or man versus nature. It could be anything, but this one is inside my head. It could be a problem I'm trying to figure out, a conflict I'm trying to weigh the pros and cons. So something inside, internally, inside, and external is something I'm dealing with outside. And I look at pressure as something as I look at it, the pressure of trying to make a decision, figure something out. I look at it as, honestly, maybe something that's a weight that's on you for something you have to figure out. A weight. I'm going to draw some dumbbells here. Some weights. So the weight, and it says, how does internal and external pressure, the weight of something, could be a conflict too. Conflict, a problem. And this is also how you brainstorm. You just write things down. There's no rush to start writing. Write it down, think it through, make sure you fully understand the prompt. So pressure, and how can the internal and external pressure shape an individual? What do you mean shape? Shape, change. So let's just say individual is this way. Start out this way, but the pressure can change someone. Let's see. So if a person starts out, then they have all these obstacles, maybe decisions that they have to make. Conflict. Maybe it's a conflict. Maybe it's a decision about school, family. It could be anything. I mean, we all have decisions. They don't always have to be bad. It could be the pressure to for someone to decide whether they want to live with mom and dad. That's pressure. Doesn't always have to be negative. The pressure for my daughter is going through right now, should she change colleges? So it could be anything, but it's a pressure. a pressure whether or not you want to ask somebody out. So you're struggling with that internally. Do you have the courage to ask this girl or guy out? So pressure could be anything, but it's like a weight for you to decide something. Have to decide on something important, maybe? Right? That could be pressure. The pressure to stay on top of your schoolwork, the pressure to perform well in sports. It could be sports. That could be a pressure. The pressure to keep, to be a starter. That's a pressure. So I'm just trying to understand. So when you go through things in life, you can start out one way, but the pressure, I'm going to put pressure of decisions, right, can actually shape a person, because now you have experience. It could be trauma. It could be anything. How a person deals with pressure. Some people can crack under pressure, right? Some people work well under pressure. So when you brainstorm, you just want to get all the ideas out of your head and just write it on paper. They do not have to be complete sentences or anything. But as you go through things in life, let me see. Life experiences. The internal, because decisions you have to make on inside your head, and the external pressure can change shape, change a person. So now you're like boop, 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 boop. Whoop, 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 oh. Put pocket. Okay. What you know about this? Put a pocket. Okay. Don't laugh at my shoes, bro. So now this person has changed from this person, and now they have all these experiences, all these decisions that has changed them. So they've been shaped because now they have that experience. Now the experience could be good or bad. So I'm going to write that. Doesn't always have to be good. Doesn't always have to be bad. It could be good or bad. Okay? A pressure could be a bully situation. A pressure could be anything. But how does internal and external pressure shape an individual? So when I think about that, so outside experiences, I'm thinking what's another word for change? Because you don't want to keep using the same word. Alter can alter a person for the better or worse, right? You can become a better person, or it can be worse. It can change how a person looks at life. Maybe now they're no longer trustworthy. Maybe they've been hurt, right? Maybe, what are some other ideas? Maybe the person's beliefs, their faith in others, faith in God, whatever, can change the person. It can change how a person thinks. Let's just say, based on the pressures of life and what you're exposed to and what you're forced to do, it can make someone this is just maybe not like a certain food, race, religion. I mean, the list can go on and on how an experience can change the way a person thinks, how a person feels, can change how a person thinks or feels about life. How about that? And like I said before, like I mentioned to you guys before, I've had life experience, lots of hardships that have changed me. So let's just say this is me. And this is just my personal experience. We are all affected by things that happen to us in our lives, things that happen to us in our family, things we experience with our family, with our friends, the pressure to fit in. It can change a person. So for me, personally, hardships that I've gone through has changed me from the innocence. So this is like innocence. I like that. Innocence. Because let's just say a baby is born innocent. Right? No experience, no nothing. Just with the DNA from the parents. Right? But whatever that parent fills that baby's cup with, right? Think about it. Whatever that child is exposed to at home, from food, from culture, to religion, to how they feel about a certain race, how they feel about the political system, it could be anything. But let's just say the baby's cup is empty when it's born, right? That's the baby's cup. And then the parents begin to fill that cup with their beliefs and their ideas of the way the world works. So maybe now that baby, the internal, external pressure is now changing this baby into someone else. It could change this baby to love certain foods or to dislike certain food, to love certain groups of people, to not like certain people. You see what I'm saying? So my hardships in life has made me, changed me into a stronger person mentally. My outlook on certain things is that it's not always going to be bad. It makes you stronger. I'm not going to crack under pressure, and I'm not going to think negative about myself and put myself down, because I know I can overcome almost anything. So I'm a stronger person, So this is how you brainstorm, and you get all your ideas on paper. But remember, always fully understand the prompt. Break the prompt down and just write so you understand and you answer all parts of the prompt. You want to take the prompt, remove the question words, and you want to restate it and make it into a statement. So let's see if we can do that up here. So if the prompt is, how does internal and external pressure shape an individual? How do you think it does that? So internal and external pressure can shape an individual. I would say, how? You look at your paper and you figure out there's a lot of ways it can shape a person, right? But you want to maybe pick one thing that you can focus on and talk about. But your paper is about this prompt. Now, I know that you were given this little excerpt from Ball Hawk, because Ball Hawk is a long story. So this is just a small part. That's what an excerpt is. They take a small portion from a larger portion. And so your short answer response is not about this excerpt. It is not about this. No. They want you to use one piece of evidence. Just choose one piece of evidence from this to support your answer to the prompt. And when you answer it, that becomes your claim. The claim is the answer to the question. So if we are writing, so we're going to start internal. Well, I would love for you to start with a hook line. But if you're answering this, internal and external pressure can shape, right? An individual. So we talked a lot about how can it change an individual. So we talked about numerous ways how it can change an individual. Numerous ways. So what is the biggest way that internal and external pressure can shape a person? How can it change a person? How can it make them who they are? Just think of clay. Based on how a person maneuvers the clay and shape it, based on what someone is doing to it, that's how it's shaped, it's formed by the experience that it's having from the other person. So I hope this makes more sense. Don't forget to include a hook line if you can come up with one. You can always start writing and then go back to a hook line. Don't forget to include your voice. We want to hear your opinion. And remember, please remember, you want to talk about the prompt in general. Don't use I, me, my. Don't do that. So talk about the prompt in general. And then you're going to use an example, a quote from this passage, just for your evidence. Just one piece, one little piece of how internal and external pressure can shape an individual. What can you pull from this piece that supports your answer? So you're going to have to decide how things can shape a person. I can pick out the main thing that we talked about in our brainstorm and how it shapes an individual. Okay? So think about that. Don't forget to use your checklist. The checklist is like gold because we're telling you the things we're looking for. Don't forget to use conjunctive adverbs. Look at they're the transition words. However, therefore, more importantly, look at the little strip, the cheat sheet that I made for you. Look at that. Use that. So it says start with a hook line, a sentence to grab the reader's attention. You need to do that. Restate the question or prompt and turn it into a statement, which then becomes your what? Your claim. The claim is the answer to the prompt. Answer to the prompt. Okay? And that then is called your claim. You want to remove all the question words. Don't go and repeat the question. Don't do that. And then you need to further explain your claim. You'd be like, oh, you wrote your claim or you answered the claim. Then what does that mean? You need to continue the thought. Make sure you stop at a period. Stop your sentence at a period. Because I've seen a lot of run-on sentences. Stop at one complete thought before you go on to the next sentence. And then you want to further explain your claim in your voice with 1 to 2 sentences, in your own words, your voice, something that's not in the story. Then you want to introduce your evidence by saying the author states, the text states. You can choose any of these, 1, 2, 3, or 4. Choose one and always use it until you get used to it. Use one piece of evidence from the excerpt, Ball Hawk by Joseph Brujac, to support your claim. And what is the claim? It is the answer to the question. Right here. Then it becomes the claim. Okay? Then you want to quote one piece. It must have quotation marks, word for word. It's like a copy and paste. Copy, paste. Word for word. That's your quote. Then you need to explain your quote. You have to explain it and how it supports your claim, how it supports your answer to the prompt. Just don't throw the evidence in there and you're done. No, you have to explain it in your own words. And do not repeat what is already mentioned in the evidence or the text. Use your words, your opinion. And make sure your paragraph is 5 to 8 complete sentences. It's telling you what we're looking for. You must include a variety of sentence types such as simple, compound, complex, and compound complex. You know how to do those. Look at the little slip. Look at the cheat sheet. Do not bend the cheat sheet. I see a lot of you wanting to roll it up and play with it. Please don't do that. And then it says you must include one compound sentence. So one of your sentences needs to be a compound sentence. You must include 2 or more conjunctive adverbs. So these are things we're looking for. Conjunctive adverbs. You must. So another thing we are looking for. Add a closing sentence to your short answer response. Just don't put your evidence, explain the evidence, and then you're done. No. What is it that you want to leave your reader with? What information, what lesson you want your reader to learn? And you can use a conjunctive adverb when you're finishing. Overall, blah, 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 blah. What do you want your reader to do? Or you can say, lastly, that's a conjunctive adverb also. Blah, 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 blah. Make sure you go back, and this seems to be a problem. Proofread your stuff. Read it out loud to yourself. How does it sound? And check for capitalization and that punctuation, periods, commas, throw in some semicolons, throw in some coordinating conjunctions, and don't forget your subordinating conjunctions. These create incomplete sentences. So in order and it makes it complex. Remember? So this is the babysitter, and she watches the babysitter. Look at your sheet at the various subordinating conjunctions. I hope that was helpful, because I would like for you to write or rewrite your short answer response from your summative so we can raise your grade. Remember, the short answer response, that was 60% of the test. So if you didn't do well on the short answer response, then that is going to really affect your grade. And the expectation is that you can write these really well for STAR along with a full essay that includes an introduction and a conclusion. Okay, so please work on this so I can change your grade to a passing grade, and we're going to keep practicing this. Please take the information I've given you and work on your short answer response. All right, I hope that helps. Have a blessed day.